Hello, I'm Sara Z. I'm in La La Land, Los Angeles, and today I'm with a wonderful, inspirational guest, Rosemary Altea, spiritual medium, healer, teacher, public speaker, and
Wow.
New York Times bestselling author. Welcome to Hollywood, Rosemary.
Oh, Sarah, thank you so much. You know, it's so funny you say welcome to Hollywood, because this week, let me tell you, I've been in Singapore, I've been in India, I've been to China, I've been to Australia, all from my sofa. And now I'm in Los Angeles.
I thought you really traveled for your book.
I did, in my way.
You travel in many different senses. Like we're gonna find out.
Yes.
But by the way, you are celebrating the anniversary of the 25th anniversary of your first book, like The Eagle and the Rose, that it garnered
Yes.
appearances on shows like Oprah, Larry King, and it was featured on the New York Times, People, Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
What a big accomplishment, Rosemary.
Well, I'm amazed that 25 years has just zipped by just like that. And I'm determined that I'm not going to be an old lady, but, but yes, 25 years. The May the 19th is the official publication date of The Eagle and the Rose, my first and a New York Times bestselling book. And most people, and I think people in Italy also know me very well from that book. Yes.
Yes, they know you because you've been in Italy many times. You've been a guest for a few shows.
Yes,
right?
Yes. Maurizio Costanzo is I think people remember that show. You know, sometimes people look at me, even now they'll look at me and say, weren't you on that? Yes, you were. And so I think in Italy, especially, I'm remembered for that show. And yes, he was lovely to me. He was great. And I love being on the show. Yes.
Yeah. Are you planning, Rosemary, to go to Italy soon? Maybe for promotion or for fun or for work?
Well, actually, I had planned to go last year. And I'd planned to visit friends in Italy because I have really good friends who live in Italy. So we'd planned the trip, but then with COVID and everything, we had to cancel it. So we're waiting for the borders to open up. We're waiting to be allowed to go back in there again, because not only do I want to go to Italy, of course, I want to go to England as well. So if they lift the bans, and I should be, as soon as they lift the bans, yes, I'm running to.
You're already preparing your suitcase. But by the way, Rosemary, you were born in London, but you right now, where are you located?
I'm actually in Florida as we speak, and it's beautiful and it's sunny, and I love everything about it. And I'm on the west coast, so I'm sort of 5 minutes from the beach. So aren't I the lucky one?
That's nice. That's nice, because I know there are only 3 hours difference, and I was wondering, wait, I thought she was in London, in England, but you are in Florida. And also your great webinar is coming up on the 22nd of May with your spirit guide, Great Eagle. What is direct voice, and how does this webinar work?
Well, this is a very special webinar, I have to say. It's only the second time that we've ever done this publicly. I've done this with Grey Eagle a trillion times with my students, when we're sitting privately with people. We've done it, but this is only the second time that we've done this publicly. The first time was in December, when we did a webinar about angels. And when we do direct voice, we talk about direct voice. What it means is that someone, in my case, Grey Eagle, will literally, it's going to sound so weird to you, Sarah, but anyway, literally, I shall move out a little bit of my body, and Grey Eagle will move in to my body. Yes, weird, right? and then he will use my voice box. So instead of normally when I give messages to people, or when I'm working with Gregor and we're giving messages, he will help me. So I talk with people in the spirit world. Gregor will say if I get something right or if I get something wrong, or if he's helping somebody in the spirit world. But it's all about Gregor says this to me, or I'm hearing Gregor say that to me. But when we do direct voice, I have nothing to do with it. They push me out. He pushes me out. Not, you know, in a nice way. And he uses my body and my voice box, and you will hear directly, which is why we call it direct voice. You will hear him speaking directly using my voice box. He will be answering questions. He will be talking about the universe. He will be talking about how things work. He will be talking about what is going on in our world. And he is a highly evolved spiritual teacher. And so he will be helping us and guiding us with what is going on in our world today. So this is an amazing thing that we're doing here, and very rarely seen, I have to tell you. Now, I have seen other people do this, but it's questionable as to whether it's their imagination or whether it's real. People perhaps will question, am I going a little crazy? My imagination doing this all? But actually, Gregor is so profound and his wisdom is so incredible that you will know when you do know when it's him. You will absolutely watching this. And I'm inviting you, if you'd like to join in.
Yes, I would love to.
Please come and be my guest. So what happens is you will know when you hear him and when you hear the way he speaks and the things that he's going to talk to us about, you absolutely will know the difference between me and him.
Like, do you, I'm gonna try to like not translate in Italian literally, but what you just said, are you channeling Great Eagle? Can we say to channel?
No,
it's not channeling. Okay.
No, channeling, you know, I never heard that phrase channeling until I came to America, because people say to me, oh, you know, they talk about somebody like myself giving readings or you know, sort of sensing or feeling. I don't do that. I talk to people in the spirit world. I find them or they find me usually. Everything is arranged with them beforehand. I'm just sitting here. I see them, I hear them, I have a conversation with them. And so, you know, I'm not doing a reading. I'm not going to say, oh, yes, I feel this or that. I'm going to say, I'm seeing this man or I'm seeing this lady or whatever it is that I'm seeing. Then I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing and hearing. Now, with Grey Eagle, so channeling to me is a whole different thing. I think it's when people are being inspired by what they're hearing or seeing, something like that. I don't do that. We just have conversations. But when Grey Eagle is using my body, my voice, it is not me channeling. I have nothing to do with it. I step out. You know, we are spiritual beings having this human experience. And you've heard of astral traveling and people like myself traveling here, that we just laughed about me being in Singapore a little while ago. But yes, we can travel, but also we have this ability to step outside of our body, if you like. So when Grey Eagle is ready, I step out and he steps in. It's his choice to do it. I have no control over it whatsoever.
So when was the first time, because Grey Eagle is your loyal companionship.
Yes, he is. He's my spirit guide. He's my best friend. He's my teacher, my best friend. Yes.
When was the first time you, quote marks, met him? Like when was the first time that this experience happened to you? Like, and also when you were talking about I step out, how?
Oh gosh, I'm not
you
even sure
know.
I'd be able to, I'm not even sure I'd be able to describe it to you, but I met Grey Eagle in the very early days when I first began. I was in my early 30s. And when people talk to me about spirit guides, I would think they're crazy, a little bit, come on, really, I can get that someone in the spirit world might want to help you and to guide you, but all this talk about, Native Americans and, you've got a nun who's influencing you, all that, didn't buy into it at all until, of course, be careful what you say, because then all of a sudden, Grey Eagle came right into my living room and made it very clear to all of us who were there, okay, this is what we're going to do. She and I are working together. He calls me his little flower. So we've worked together and for over more than 25 years, because I started writing the book at least 5 years before that. I'm really showing my age now to you, but we've been working together for
age is just age.
I don't mind at all. But we've been working together for well over 40 years now. And he is, just let's say my constant companion. He is my go-to guy. So you could say we've had a marriage together longer than most people ever stay married these days. So how do I move out of my body? How do I shift? Well, we have within, of course, we are spiritual beings. So when we die, when we leave our body, we take with us what is known as the etheric or the spirit body. It's the same shape, same size, everything. The only difference is that the etheric body, the spirit body, cannot be harmed or destroyed. So if you lose a leg or an arm, that can't happen. Your etheric body is much more solid and much more real than the physical body. We know that the physical body is made up mostly of water, liquid, right? So when we're astral traveling, that is our spirit body, our etheric body is how we travel. So we've got this vehicle that we can travel in and out of. So when I move out, sometimes I do it and I don't even know I'm doing it. Sometimes, it just happens and then I find myself in a whole different place. With Grey Eagle, when we're doing direct voice, then I am fully aware that this is going to happen. And so let's say I go into a type of trance state or relaxed state so that I could easily move out.
But
and
you're saying
allow
that
him.
It could happen all of a sudden. Like
Yes.
suddenly, like you can, maybe you're eating with your friend and you are all of a sudden Grey Eagle is coming to you. I wish I could do that so I could travel more instead of staying always in LA.
Well, it's never happened when I've been eating or when I've been with friends, and it's a very you have to be in a very, very carefully controlled environment also, because it can be dangerous for the medium. Because it's all very well moving out, but getting back in is not such an easy thing necessarily. So we do it very carefully and in very controlled circumstances. So on this next, not tomorrow, but this next Saturday, 22nd of May, I think he's doing this, it's for my birthday's on the 19th of May. That is the official publication date of the 21st publication of the Eel and the Rose. So I think sort of to celebrate that and to sort of do something really special, this is why he's chosen to do this. And it certainly was not my idea. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it works, because again, I have no control over it whatsoever. But when he asks, can we do this? It's not just him deciding. I have to say, I have to agree to this too. So it's something that we agree to do together. So, so I trust.
Voice. You hear his voice saying, Rosemary, would you like to do this on this date? So yes. you hear
yes.
his voice, and then.
Oh yeah. And I see him, and he's, even as I'm talking to you now, he's standing right next to me, enjoying this interview, I
I
might
saw
say.
next to me for a moment. Io, Grego, Eagle, ciao. No. I mean, I joke, but beside and talking about this, like me joking in a nice way. I don't mean to offend, but
Oh, Sarah,
yeah, no, I like to joke all the time.
we have fun all the time. We really do. We sort of, although it's a very serious subject, if we didn't laugh about it, we'd cry. We'd get really desperate about, because there are so many people who are, you know, very much affected by what we do here. And you know, what I do, I always say, what I do touches people's hearts and it changes people's lives. So we're very serious about that. But if we didn't have a sense of humor, and if we weren't able to laugh about these things, we'd probably go off. I'd probably kill myself, because
Right.
I love to laugh.
Yeah,
So,
and exactly. And talking about like joking or like say those things, do you think that believing in this kind those kind of presences in our lives, do we need to believe it in order to see them, or I
no,
could be very skeptical and it could happen to me as
yes,
well? It could.
yes. And it has, and I've seen it happen. I've been in audiences where I've been giving messages. And, you know, I can remember one time there was this guy sitting, he was so determined, his wife had dragged him there, and he was so determined to prove her wrong and to prove me a charlatan. And he was just absolutely determined, until I came to him and I gave him a message that shook him to his core. And after the event, we were in a big hotel complex, and the first thing he did was rush to the bar and order a double whiskey, because he was so shocked. He did
Wow.
not believe at all. So you
Yeah.
don't have to believe in this to experience it.
And so you are a medium and a healer. Are two sides of a coin, like, does it mean the same thing? Like being a medium and a healer?
Well, it can be two separate things, because a medium is not necessarily a healer, and a healer is not necessarily a medium. I've taught for a long time, and I believe that my students, who I teach the healing arts to, I teach them how to raise their level of consciousness, because we can learn these things. But I believe that all good healers should have a little bit of knowledge of what it's like to be able to see or to be aware in a similar way to a medium. But I also believe that a good medium needs to be very much aware and very much involved in what it's like to be a healer also. So one is not the other. It's not like two halves coming together necessarily. But I do believe, and I'm only speaking now for myself, I do believe personally that being a healer and a medium helps me tremendously in helping other people, because I'm having experience of other people. I'm having experiences of their pain. I'm having experiences of their fears. It means that I have more empathy and more understanding in so many different ways.
And very, very interesting, and probably it's very subtle, the line between being a medium and a healer. I know, I think so. And how can we raise like this ability, like, or how is there a specific technique that we can use in order to raise our level of unconsciousness? Like, let's say that I don't believe it, but I would like to hone it, or learn. What can I do?
Oh, well, I have students, and it takes dedication, I think, on the part of the student, but it also takes a certain amount of trust. They have to trust me. And of course, I have to trust them, because I don't want to give people exercises to do, for instance, that are going to affect them adversely. I want everything that we do to be positive. But if you were not coming to me as a student and you just wanted to know how this works, if an ordinary person just thinks to themselves, okay, I would really love to get in touch with my mother, and you have this feeling of wanting to get in touch with your mother, just that feeling and just putting it out there into the universe is a beginning of your awareness and your awakening of your own power and your own understanding that just maybe if you're patient, maybe if this works. And as you're doing that, or if you're meditating, you raise your level of consciousness. So you become much more aware, you become much more knowing, you pay attention more, you listen more. Inevitably, you're sort of looking to see what you can see more. And in just doing those things, you are raising your level of consciousness to a point where at some point, if you continue with that, you will be able to connect, and you will be able to see or to sense or to be aware much more so than you are. We're all born with our 5 senses. And people are always wanting to say, yeah, but I want to develop my 6th sense. Forget the 5 senses. Let me develop the 6th sense.
The 6th sense, no, the third eye is something else. The third eye.
But the third eye, a lot of people call it the third eye, or we're talking now about chakra points or energy centers. Yeah. But when you become more aware and you become, more sort of in tune with things as you go along, and if you continue on that way, inevitably you will eventually hear more, see more. And in order to get that 6th sense, what people don't realize, and this is what I teach my students, is you have to hone, you have to develop each one of your 5 senses. You have to make them more sensitive. You have to become more aware of them. Your sense of taste, your sense of hearing, your sense of sight, all of those senses. If you fine tune them, and there are different exercises we can do to fine tune them. So if you find
meditation, not just with the meditation, like there are
lots of different ways. People love it when they come to fine tune their sense of taste, because I say to them, I want you to try this, this, and this. Tell me what you feel, what you sense, what you're aware of when you put something into your mouth. Try something new you've never tried before, you've never tasted before. So there are lots of different ways that you can train all of those 5 senses. And once those 5 senses become more sensitive and you become more aware of them, inevitably at some point, as they all join together, that is the 6th sense right there. So there is a skill to it. There is an art to teaching this. And, I always say to people, if you do it by yourself, by all means, but if you could find a good teacher, not so easy to find, but if you can find a good teacher who can help you with this, then you can do this.
And yes, and what you're saying, like it applied to me, like sometimes, not all the time, but when I meditate, and I'm not very consistent, I must say, but when I do, when I finished, I feel like I see like the colors are brighter, for example, or it's amazing. It's unbelievable. I feel like I'm in a different state of mind in that moment. As soon as I finished meditating, and just maybe being like conscious of my breath and my breathing, and I sense things in a different way, for sure.
Well, everything is about energy. And we all have an energy field, an aura or an energy field around us. And this energy field is made up of lots of different colors. Now then, so Grey Eagle is telling me that when you danced, did you dance?
Yes.
So he's telling me when you danced, you allowed all of your emotion into the movement. And without even realizing it, you are raising your level of consciousness. You are becoming more and more and more aware of your own emotions. and you're also becoming more and more and more aware of everything that's going on around you. So your level of consciousness when you danced, and with music especially, when you're so affected, you're so sensitive with these things, that you automatically raise your level of consciousness without even knowing that you did it. And here you are, and in that moment when you were at that peak of feeling and sensing, you felt that you couldn't get any higher and you couldn't get any fuller, and you were so filled with all of this going on. This was when your sensitivity was at its height, that it was most heightened. And this was when you could feel and sense beyond the earth, beyond the earthly plane, beyond the people you were dancing with. You were in a different place. You put yourself in that different place. And this was so natural to you. Grey Eagle is telling me that you are a naturally sensitive person, and sensitive to those outside things that go on outside of us, but not knowing it. And being so sensitive, and how many times has somebody said to you, well, your problem is that you're too sensitive, you're too, right? How many times have people said that to you? All right, don't ever let them say it to you again, because the nicest of us and the kindest of us and the most spiritual of us are ultra sensitive. That's what you want to be. So never ever stop being sensitive. Never ever let anyone say to you, you're too sensitive, because the person who says that to you is the person who is the most insensitive. Right?
Yeah, it's what you're saying. I totally felt it. Like I'm still a dancer. I use the past tense. I said I've been, but I still am. And when I don't know if you remember, I always think about what Beyonce said one time. She said, when I'm on stage, I feel like I'm possessed. No, and everyone thought, oh my gosh, she said that she's possessed by, what does she mean? What does she mean? What did she mean? Well, I'm not Beyonce, I'm not famous, but in my small dancing world, I understood what it means. And for sure it happens to you in a different way. Not necessarily.
Let me put it a different way. In those moments, you are consumed by the light of God or the power of the universe. You are beyond your own self. You are higher somehow, bigger somehow, reaching up somehow. I remember so often giving healing and feeling 10 feet tall. You grow, somehow you grow, but the growth comes from inside of you. And that's your spirit, that's your soul growing and becoming more and more of what it is meant to be. So you've experienced that. So, that's an amazing thing for you.
See, thank you for saying that, Rosemary. Like, and I miss it. I'm missing a little bit that kind of feeling that I have it when I talk to people. When I'm talking to you right now, I feel that kind of adrenaline, but in a different way. It's you can be on stage and dancing for sure, because your heartbeat, you're sweating, like it's your whole body is involved.
You can say that it's the adrenaline, but it's more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Probably adrenaline is what maybe everyone has at one point, but certain people has.
It lifts you. It lifts you. It brings you to your higher self. Yes.
È vero. It's true. È vero. I'm going to speak some Italian, but
I know what that means.
È vero. È vero.
I do.
Rosemary, and you were talking about sensibility. I think, maybe I'm wrong, that a person can hone this invaluable gift as you, if that person is very sensitive. I think, how did you hone your invaluable gift? When was the first time, or the process?
Well, I've been weird since I was a little girl, so I've always seen people, heard voices, been absolutely terrified of it. So I've always had that, you know, being very frightened of this thing. But how can I put it? I've never, thank goodness, I've never had to hone my gift. Thank goodness, I've never had to practice it or develop it. A friend of mine, when we first sat together and he thought that he was going to be able to teach me how to do this, he was a very fine healer, and he thought, you know, he was going to sit with me and help me and develop me and so on. And he described this as, he said it was as if somebody had shaken a champagne bottle and popped the cork, whoosh, and there it was. So it was just waiting. So it was always within me a bit, because I was nervous of it, because I was afraid of it. I sort of kept it down. But the minute I said, oh, okay, then, you know, and I was not, you know, not very brave, but I said, okay, then let's, you know, okay, I'll do this. That was it then. And so I've never really had to work at it. And to be honest with you, you just said about meditation that you're not that consistent. I'm not sure that if I'd had to work for this, I'm not sure I would have been consistent. I'm not sure I would have had the whatever it takes, the discipline. So fortunately, I never had to do that. So it's something that comes naturally to me, which I think is obvious when you watch me working and you see what's going on. You can tell the difference between someone who has a natural ability for something and somebody who's then had to train for it or to work for it.
Right. Also, because probably if you would have to work for it, maybe you would have not chosen this path, because if it's too much of an effort, probably it's not something that belongs to you, maybe. But if it comes like dancing, like any artistic or art or any endeavor that we put into our passion, it has, I supposedly, to come organically. Like,
I mean, you work very hard for it. You work when you have it. It's not that you're not working. It's just that there it is for you. But I do remember my daughter, when she was about 14 or 15 years old, saying to me, I'm never going to do what you do. I'm not going to sit in a room and listen to people crying all day, every day. She was 14 or 15. That's all she could see. It was only later that when she saw, wait a minute, my mother's traveling all over the world. How did that happen? But she made a conscious decision not to do this because she saw how hard we had to work in order to do it. So
I'm sure it drains you. I'm sure, like, energetically, yes, emotionally, yeah, mentally, like you must be probably exhausted, like after you're such a trip in that way.
If you come to our webinar on the 22nd, and I would really love to have you come to the webinar as my guest. And if you come, I mean, we're going to be 3 hours doing this.
Okay.
It's going to be exhausting. And at the end of it, I should probably fall on the sofa and fall asleep for at least an hour or two. I'll have to revive myself because it's a lot to do.
Think exhausting, Rosemary, in a good way, like in
yes, oh yes,
like you feel you're enriching yourself at the same time with.
I'm very excited to do it. Don't misunderstand me. I'm raring to go here, but it's a very exciting thing to be able to do. But it is like dancing. You must want to get on the stage. You must want to do it, and you give everything of yourself. But at the end of that, you've done what you need to do, and then poof, that's it. Now you just want to collapse, relax, and chill out, right?
You feel that you worked. Like I've always felt like sweating, like I was sweating, like I did something. I worked for the audience, like you, right, when you go to a certain
well, I know that what I'm going to be doing a lot of the time is I'm going to be crying. I'm going to be emotional because it's going to be a beautiful thing and a very emotional thing. So I'm very excited about it, but I do know what it's going to do to me. It's going to absolutely drain me. And then I'm going to go out to dinner and have fun with my friends.
No,
So
un gelato, un gelato, un gelato, a nice meal, exactly.
yeah,
Rosemary, talking about afterlife, have you
yes,
been there?
yes,
You
I
did?
have. Yes. I had a patient once, she was my patient for a number of years, and eventually she had cancer. And eventually she was at that point of about to go. And she said to me, she was so frightened about it. She was terrified about it. And she said to me, "Will you go with me?" And I said, "Well, I'll ask Grey Eagle. If he says I can go with you, then I will, but I'm not sure." So I asked him and he said yes. So the next time I went to visit her, I said, "He says I can come with you." So that she was fine. She was happy about it at that point, and she just felt relieved that she wasn't going to make that journey on her own, which of course she wouldn't have done anyway, whether I'd gone with her or not. But I remember that experience very clearly. And I was sitting in a room with all of her family and friends who were sort of at the top of the room, and I was sort of sitting at the lower end of the room. And I'm thinking, you know, what's going on? I didn't realize at that point. And all of a sudden, I hear everybody in the spirit world. They're all whispering, but I was sitting amongst them with them, and they're all whispering. And then I suddenly hear, "She's coming, she's coming. Quick, quick, she's coming, she's coming." And everybody looked to this one place. And I literally, my patient's name is Marjorie. And I literally saw Marjorie coming, you know, from this tunnel. And at first I didn't recognize her because I only ever seen her sort of, she was jaundiced, she wore a wig, you know, I only ever seen her sit. And this beautiful woman comes, sort of shining hair and sparkling skin and sparkling eyes. And it was a moment or two before I realized, oh gosh, it's Marjorie. And not long after that, I left. I was in bed at the time, but I was awake. I was conscious of what was going on. And so I just came back, let's say, from my trip. And within 5 minutes of arriving back, and it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, her husband, the phone rang, and it was her husband calling me to say Marjorie just went, she just left. And I told him what had happened. And I told him how we'd gone together. And he said, "Is she okay?" And I said, "She looks fantastic. She looks fabulous, not sick at all." So I've been many times. I've experienced many different sides of you know, let's say the other side. People say to me, "What is it like?" And I say, well, imagine that a Martian calls you up, right? A man from Mars, he calls you, you pick up the phone and he says, "Hi, I'm from Mars. Can you tell me what the world is like?" Which part would you tell about? You tell about the part of the world that you know. You tell about California, you tell about Italy. But do you know anything about India? Do you know anything about the Greek islands and so on? So we can describe what we know, but there are many different parts and many different aspects of this world. So imagine what that next world has. You know, so
we need to experience. Well, Rosemary, you are already prepared. What is going on?
I don't know about that.
Are you afraid? Are you afraid of it? Are you afraid?
I'll let you know.
When
I can say,
sorry, when you experience.
I can say that I'm not afraid of death. I can say that. When it happens, I might change my mind. I don't think so. What I'm most afraid of, and I think what most people are afraid of, is I'm afraid to leave my daughter by herself. I'm afraid of leaving my grandson, who's beautiful, my Reese, my darling boy. I'm afraid to leave them because I talk to them several times every day. I say goodnight to my little boy, he's 8, every night, every single night. So I talk to them and I'm with them, and I worry, what are they going to do without me? And I know I'll be there for them, but it won't be the same, you know?
You'll be there anyways.
Yes, but it won't be the same. It won't be the same for them, will it? So that's, if I were frightened about anything, it would be, I worry how they're going to manage without me. But at the same time, I know that I've done my best to help them to understand that, trust me, they're not going to be anywhere without me looking over their shoulder, guiding them and steering them and interfering from time to time.
But no time yet, Rosemary. So maybe
No, no, we got a while. I
I
got a while.
and I'm sure with your gift, even your daughter who will you live or who we will live on earth, they will feel the presence, your presence, our
I'm
presence.
sure.
And
I'm
things
going to
are
make
possible.
sure. I'm going to make sure of that. That's for sure.
And do you think, oh, by the way, when you mentioned the word shoulder, is there a way why when a psychic or medium sees someone behind us, for example, right now, if you say there's
Yeah.
someone behind you, they
Yeah.
always say that they're putting their hand on our shoulder, but never on our face, never on or like yeah, and
Let me just say that Gregel is ruffling my hair as we're talking, because he's
no,
trying to say,
Rachel, stop. She's fine with her hair. She's good like
and
that.
he's stroking my face. So I think this is his way of saying, no, 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 we, it's not, or not, you know, just the hand on the shoulder. When Gregel puts his hand on my shoulder, it's usually because he wants to say, hey, can I have something to say. But when he's messing around with me, we're having fun or something, he's tickling my ear now, just to be difficult now. He's tickling my ear and just having fun with us while we're doing this. So no, it isn't just that somebody puts a hand on your shoulder.
Because I remember I spoke to an Italian medium a long time ago, and she said, someone behind you is putting her hand on your shoulder. And then I saw some videos and I heard the same thing. And I was wondering, what's the thing with like this part of the body? But as you're saying, when someone does that, even like a real person, because they want to talk to you, they want to stop you and say something, maybe like, so
they are real. They are real. You said like a real person.
Oh, like real person, but they
are real. Big Grey Eagle is real, very real. But yes, I know what you mean.
Visible to us that we can see.
Yes.
I cannot see Grey Eagle. I would love to. I would love to meet. Well, at the webinar, we have the pleasure to at least hear his voice.
Definitely, and you may even catch a glimpse of what he might look like. You never know.
Oh.
You never know.
That would be maybe no, but in your career, do you think you observe that certain cultures are more inclined to believe in such things or not?
Yes, I think so very much. In our Western culture, I mean, we don't teach our children about death or dying. We teach them about birth. We teach them how exciting it is. We teach them about new life, but we rarely talk about death and dying. And consequently, in this Western world of ours, when we experience death, whether it's when we're young or when we're older, we don't quite know how to deal with it. But there are many cultures throughout the world that do teach their children, and you've got people who celebrate the Day of the Day of the Dead, and you've got many different cultures that come along and celebrate and do teach their children about this. I wish we could teach our children more, and in fact I'm working on hopefully doing something so either to help parents and grandparents to help to know what to say, to know how to help their children to deal with the loss of a sibling, for instance, or the loss of a beloved grandmother, or the loss of a mother or a father. There is so I get requests all the time from parents who say, an animal. My son lost his dog. What can I tell him? So I do think we need to educate.
You're right, because I think it'll be a very important tool, especially for a kid, because they don't understand what death is. But if we explain that maybe the dog is still there, somehow like.
Well, my grandson is 8 years old, and he knows that his puppy's still there, and he knows that I lost my last puppy in January this year, and my grandson, sometimes he'll say to me, "Oh, I just saw Piper, I just saw Cachorro, or I just saw," and he sees them. And sometimes it's his imagination, but he's very much like me,
There
and
might
I know that he sees.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, Rosemary.
He's very much like me, so I know that he sees, he's aware, he has my gift, as my daughter does. Will he choose to use it as he gets older? We have to wait and see.
Yeah, probably, yeah, you're passing on your your gift. So maybe your nephew, grandson, right? You said
Grandson.
The grandson probably might decide to use it, because already now, if he already is sensing like something about the dog, like even if you're saying it could be the imagination, but there's already like
he knows, but there are things that when he says, there are things that he knows. He absolutely knows. He calls me Mosey, so he'll say, "Mosey, we're going to miss our plane, but don't worry, because there's going to be another one straight after it, and we'll be able to get that one." And you arrive at the airport, and sure enough, you've missed the plane. But sure enough, there's another one 10 minutes later. They hold the plane for us. We get on the plane. And I look at my grandson and I think, yes, he knows these things.
like,
So
you're like the nonna. You're like the nonna. So, wow, you let me know what's going on with your grandson. But and also before I let you go, because I'm sure you have to prepare everything for your webinar and anything else. Someone is telling me, not Grey Eagle, that you are also a great cook. You also wrote, yeah, you're a great cook, Rosemary. I saw in my research, I saw that you are a great cook, and you wrote a cooking book. Like you love, this is your passion as well.
I did. Well, I have lots of things. I also knit, actually, but yes, I do love to cook, and I do have, for instance, what are we doing on Sunday morning? We're doing I do different menus, and I show people. Last Sunday, I showed people how to cook a delicious baked snapper with what was it? Anyway, with a delicious sauce. This week, I'm going to be showing people how to make a crème anglaise, and we're going to sort of fill pastries with it, and going to show people what you can do with a crème anglaise. So I do love cooking, and I did. You're right. I did. Yeah, I don't know who told you that, but yes, I did write a cookbook, and I love it, because if I had it with me, I could show it to you. But it has a picture of myself, my daughter, and my grandson. But it's a family cookbook. There are so many recipes that are easy for just a regular person who doesn't know how to cook.
Good for me. Good.
So you can do this, it's easy. And then there are the more complicated dishes as well, which I encourage people to try, because, hey, what happens? The first time my daughter made salmon en croûte, which is one of my signature dishes, she almost set her apartment on fire. So I encourage people to experiment with food and experiment with their own idea.
With fire, baby, because I would do probably the same. I'm Italian, but I'm not really a good cook. I cook with something very, very easy, not complicated. I do.
But that's fine.
Yeah, see.
There's nothing wrong with easy. If it's delicious and easy, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So yes, I do. I love to cook. I love to be in the kitchen. Yes.
Well, if you get tired at one point of being a medium or a healer, like you can be a chef. No, but that you can also, well, you have you could have a backup plan, but I don't think it's gonna happen because you're
no. But
a top
Grey Eagle is always in the kitchen with me, and my daddy's always in the kitchen with me. So if I'm cooking something for somebody, I don't eat it, I don't like it, I have to ask Grey Eagle, I have to ask my daddy, did I put enough salt in there? Because I don't want to taste it if I don't like it. Did I put enough salt in, or did I put enough seasoning in? So our loved ones in the spirit world, they come in and they enjoy the things that we enjoy, and they can help us. And if you can sort of be in tune with that, even if you just feel them around or sense them around when you're cooking, or when you're doing whatever it is you want to do in life, whatever your hobby is, include them in it, because boy, oh boy, they will help you and have so much fun with you.
Yes, so for any doubt you have in your life, you no, you have great ego that can help
Yes.
you. You have this your spirit guide that
Yes.
can help
Yes.
you and direct you in the right choices, on the
That's right.
right path.
Exactly. That's exactly right. But we all have that. We
Mhm.
have our family, we have our parents, we have our grandparents, whoever it is that we have in the spirit world with us, we have them there with us, and they help us, and they absolutely, they help and guide us and steer us on that right path. And before we go, I do have to say to you that all the time I've been talking to you, I've been aware of a lovely lady who's standing just to the side of you. And she tells me that she was very sick before she passed. She's waving furiously at you. She's this close to you, family to you. She, you're her girl. You're her girl.
Wow.
She just wants you to know that she loves you, that she's with you. And apparently, I'm not sure you want to
No, you
tell
know,
people this, but
Rosemary,
apparently you've got an opportunity to do something or to expand in what you're doing, and you're unsure whether you want to go on that route or not. You're unsure as to whether you can do it, number one, or whether you've got the time to do it, because it sort of will interfere with some of the other plans that you've got. And she's saying to tell you, and Greg is saying to tell you, for goodness sake, jump
and do it.
Do it.
No, you know what you're saying. Oh my, wait, I have to process this. You know why? I told you I spoke to an Italian psychic. It's a different person. She's Italian. She doesn't speak English. She's a person that helps to find people that disappeared in Italy.
Okay.
And when I did this live with her, she said the same. She said, "There's a lady behind you, and you didn't know this, and you're just telling me as well."
Well, actually, she's not behind. She's standing just to the side of you, I have to say. And she's stroking your face as I'm talking to you. I mean, the love that's coming from her to you is amazing. It's amazing. And she helps you and steers you and guides you. I think you know that anyway.
I don't know if I know, but now I do.
Now you
And
do.
well, thanks. And maybe it's someone that lived in this apartment. Maybe it was a lady that lived, or someone close to my family. You were
I
saying.
think it's your family. I think this lady's connected in some way to your mother,
Oh.
and was here on this earth when you were a little girl, because she keeps referring to you as a little girl. So I know that she was here on this earth when you were a little girl.
Yeah, it's wow. No, okay. Thank you. I'm glad that this lady is
Deep breath. Deep breath.
Yeah. I'm gonna meditate now.
Yeah.
Hours.
Go and have a nice drink.
Yeah, I'm not such a drink. I know I'm Italian, but I don't cook, I don't drink, I don't do anything as an Italian.
Oh.
No, I will. I have to. I don't have any wine, but I should plan to go out and have a nice cocktail.
Just celebrate.
Yeah.
And with a nice, let me see, a nice vodka tonic or something like that.
Okay, yeah, like a vodka, a gin tonic, or like a caipirosca, the strawberry.
Oh yes.
But I did not have it in LA. They don't make it as in they do in Europe. But anyway, but I'm so thankful, and I so appreciated your time. And I'm Sara Z. I just spoke to Rosemary Altea, and maybe I spoke to Great Eagle. I don't know, maybe.
Yes.
please be on the webinar. I'm gonna be on online at webinar on the 22nd. What time is gonna happen, Rosemary?
It'll be 10 o'clock my time, so 7 o'clock in California.
Ooh, in the
So
morning?
10 o'clock,
In the morning?
I'm afraid so. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Wake up, don't miss it. You know, we're on for 3 hours, so you can always pop in, you know.
Okay.
And so yeah, we're 10 until 1, 3 hours to hear direct voice, very exciting stuff, very rarely seen. So I'm going to force you awake now.
Yeah, no,
I'll send Grey Eagle to you. How about that?
no. like this, like pulling my ear. No, if it's something of that matter, I'm gonna get up, because sometimes say, oh, Sarah, come on, you don't want to get up. No, if it's something important, I do, but I'm not a morning person. I'm honest. I like to go to sleep late. My brain functions better during the night.
too.
You too?
Me too.
But then you get up early, maybe.
3 o'clock this morning, I was still awake, and I was up at 8. So, but that's fine, because I don't need a lot of sleep. I'm very fortunate. So.
That's good. No, well, I need my 8 hours, but I want to make sure I'm going to be on the webinar on the 22nd. And I'm Sara Z, Rosemary Altea. Thank you so much. I see you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.